and some information from there. Great, thank you so much.
Hello? Yeah. All right, everyone, let me just plug in my computer really quickly. Great talk about WP CLI, Stanislav. I personally use WP CLI every single day. I think it's probably the best thing since sliced bread. Awesome things can be done with WP CLI. One of my favorite things, since I'm working a lot with performance, is to disable WP cron and run cron through WP CLI, actually. It's very much possible to do that. Much better for performance. Okay, let's see. All right, this is good. It's always nice to see that the presentation is working when you're using Linux. So, hello everyone. My name is Jonathan Sulo. A short presentation of me. I work as a performance expert at a company named Surbolt. Surbolt is the fastest hosting provider in the whole world. So I make websites faster every single day. And I can tell you right now, with Black Friday coming up, it's a whole lot of work to do. I have been in the hosting business for more than 20 years. If you've heard of companies like Lupia and Binero, I'm in part to blame for that. I have been using WordPress since 2005. I am engaged here in the Swedish WordPress community as well, in the support and translations and stuff. And yes, I love Saab cars. This is one of my older cars, so yes. So I'm here to talk to you about images, and as mentioned by Otto in the first talk, images is the primary thing that needs to be optimized when trying to speed up websites. Approximately half of the content on a website is made up by images. This is changing somewhat lately. We've seen much more scripts and similar content on websites, but still images is the main largest content. And websites, well, they are growing in size. The first website ever built was 4 kilobytes large. Today, the average website is 4 megabytes large. And all of the time, visitors are becoming more and more mobile as well. So we have a conflict of interest here. The bigger websites and less faster connections, basically. Sure, we have 4G, 5G and stuff, but it's not increasing in speed the same way that websites are increasing in size. Just since the 5 last years, websites have become twice as big, actually. So it's increasing a lot in size. Studies also show that fewer images on websites can affect the conversion rates of websites. Of course, it's a matter of the websites becoming faster, and that is what visitors want. But also to not have too much images and content It's a good thing. All right. Images. When using images on websites, it is preferable almost always to use the JPEG format. These are the two main formats, JPEG and PNG. We also have WP SVG. We have some people use GIFs still, but JPEG and PNG are the main two formats, image formats. PNGs are mainly used for illustrations, for vector graphics and logotypes and stuff like that. JPEGs are for photographies, you know, product images and things that don't require transparency. So how do you know how many JPEGs and PNG files you have on your website? It's actually really easy, using Linux, of course. You can, with a one-liner, just do a quick search and count the number of PNG and JPEG files and see. Usually, I would say if you have 10 JPEG images, you should have 1 PNG image. That's a healthy ratio. Converting images, in principle, it's very easy to just change the image format on the server. Just run a command and convert it from PNG to JPEG. But you also, with WordPress, need to update the links in the posts, in the media library and stuff like that. So you need to update the database as well. For this, I recommend a plugin called PNG to JPEG. It's an easy plugin to just install, use and remove afterwards. It's usually a one-case scenario. I can tell you about a site, an example. A customer that came to us about a year ago. They had a WooCommerce site, very slow site. It was built actually by one of only two officially WooCommerce licensed firms in Sweden. I won't mention who it was, but the site was incredibly slow, and it was really huge. It was a big site. It was, I believe it was 50 gigabytes large. And I reviewed the site, went through it, and converted the images and optimized the database and a lot of other things as well. But the main thing I did was to switch from PNG to JPEG for those images that could be JPEG. And it shrunk in size down to, I think it was, with database included, 7.2 gigabytes from 50 to that. So yeah, a really good thing to do. So when you upload an image in WordPress, you upload one image, but you get a lot of images more created on the server actually. You have the original image, and by default you also get a large, medium and a thumbnail sized image. This is for the responsive design that you know of today, where a certain image is displayed depending on the viewer, on the size of the web browser or window and stuff like that. And also many themes themselves add more sizes for the images, sizes that fit to the design of the theme and stuff. And of course WooCommerce also adds sizes. So uploading just one single image can actually mean that you're creating 10 images on the server. That's a good thing to have in mind. When uploading images, as Otto also mentioned before, images today can be very, very large with the modern phones that we have and high resolutions and stuff like that. And actually now with the new release of WordPress 5.3, it's actually even easier to upload huge images. Previously there was a limit, I think it was 5 megabytes, and now they have improved the upload function, so it can it can upload huge images nowadays. But this is most likely something that your visitors won't need. So my advice is to first of all define and determine a certain size. We're talking width and height for images. Define a certain size for that is the maximum size for your images, and use a resize command. This is the Mogrify command. There are many others as well. This is Linux again. Most hosting providers do support these kind of tasks, so it's just a copy and paste and run it. In this example here, we are looking finding all the JPEG images and just resizing them to a maximum of 1920 by 1920 in width and height. An example, I think 2560 is like the 4K. Yeah. Anyways, determine. You can look at the statistics often for your website, the Google statistics. Look at the statistics and see what sizes do your visitors have on their browsers. What resolutions do they have? You don't have to support huge resolutions. So this command will convert existing files. If you want to limit all new files, I can recommend a plugin for that as well. This is particularly good if you are running like a forum or a community or a site where users themselves can upload images. All right. And yes, optimize all images. In a certain way, WordPress actually compress the images, or they use the JPEG percentual compression algorithm. I'm not exactly sure to what level they do compress it, because when we do compressions afterwards, it is oh, let's remove that. It does affect the images. So to a certain degree, WordPress compresses the images. I think it's like JPEG 82% compression limit by default. It was changed in version WordPress version 4.5 from 90 to 82. It's no major difference actually, really. What you need to do is to do compression yourself, and I would recommend, there are many ways to do a compression. I will give an example later on as well. When doing compression for JPEG files, I would recommend progressive compression. It's a technique where the images are the JPEG images are displayed immediately in a lower resolution, and while the image is or the page is loading, the image becomes better. So you get to display the image at once. Sure, it's in a worse quality, but it will become better. So also removing metadata. Metadata is stored in all images. It's information about like geographic data, geodata, and the author of the image or photographer and stuff like that. This is information that often can be removed using optimization. And also, it is possible to compress JPEG images, especially both with lossless and lossy compression. These are two techniques of how aggressive to compress the images. I would recommend lossless. It's usually not visible change for the visitors and for the users. With a lossy compression, the images may be somewhat distorted, depending on the level of compression, of course. So optimizing all images is important. So how do you do it then? First off, I would recommend to not use plugins. Don't use plugins. I will explain why soon. If possible, you should compress the images before you upload them to WordPress. In many cases, with image editing software, Photoshop, GIMP, and similar, there are options to export in web optimized compression levels. I don't use those software, but I know there's options for that. A free service that I can recommend is TinyPNG. Very easy to use. Just visit the site, upload your images, they will compress them, and just download them for free. Finally, what you all should do, and what we always recommend, is to compress the images on the server side instead of using plugins. Compress them on the server and schedule the compressions with Chrome. Compressing images is a rather resource-intensive task. It can be very resource-intensive. So if you're using compression in plugins, for an example, it will slow down your website. It will slow down your server if you use plugins that compress your images. And many plugins, in particular EWW, they have code. This is open source, so we have read the code for these plugins. This plugin in particular adds certain features and removes certain features depending on your hosting provider. Really nasty. If you must use plugins, I can say that ShortPixel and TinyPNG, they have support for cloud compression, which means that the web server and the website is offloaded with the compression work. So you send the files to these providers, they do the compression, and then it's back in your website. This usually costs a bit. So how do you do it yourself then on the server? Well, you use software called OptiPNG and JPEG Optim. This is our open source software, as mentioned by Otto earlier. And you only compress the images that haven't been compressed before. You set up a scheduling for this. I did not manage to finish an article about this. This talk will be featured as an article on our website in short, and you will have the full compression scripts available for download there. Again, this is the days just before Black Friday, so yeah. That's how to do it. And in general, compressing images, it's for the average website, you can do it like once a week, basically, in the middle of the night, on Sunday or something. For very intense websites where you have a lot of images being uploaded, sure, do it once a day in the nighttime. So another technique of improving images or image loading times in particular is to lazy load the images. Otto explained this earlier. It's a matter of only loading the images that are visible in the web browser for the visitor. So if they only see this part of the website and your website is this tall, you only load the images in this part. And then when the visitors scroll down, you load the images continually for the visitors. This is possible to do, and it's the most easy thing to do using JavaScript right now. There's an old way of doing it, the old lazy load. It's a JavaScript that you install through a plugin, you activate it, and you don't have to care about anything. And also you have the Google, the new image tag that Otto mentioned. So far only supported by Google Chrome, so I cannot recommend it for all sites today. I can recommend the regular lazy load for all sites today. It's a good thing. But the native lazy load, it will be better. It will be better when all the browsers support it. But right now, hold on a bit. Yes. Yeah. You can have them both, but it's to no benefit really, since the JavaScript needs to be added or it's loaded on also for Chrome. So, you know. But I really like this new approach that Google has with the lazy loading. This should have been from the start of the internet, basically. It's a great thing. WP CLI, yes, Stanislav. Great. As mentioned, this is one of my favorite tools for WordPress, and it also features image optimization or image tools. Included by default, we have the WP Media image size function. It will display all registered WordPress image sizes, as mentioned before, the original, large, medium, thumbnail, and any other additional sizes added by your theme, plugins, or similar. So you can see an easy way to see all these sizes. And WP Media Regenerate, Stanislav explained already what this function does. It regenerates the additional images in the media library. And then we have this very interesting command. As mentioned, it is possible to add and install additional commands in WP CLI. And one of these that is the most interesting, in my opinion, for images is the image optimize command. This is a command that you can use to optimize, to compress your images through WP CLI. So you don't have to use the OptiPNG and you know the server command lines. Today it's not mature enough for production, I would say. I have tested it. I have compared it also with the regular ways of optimizing, and I found that it does not optimize better than using the traditional optimization. I do believe that this will be the future, the right way to do this moving forward. Yes. Okay, speeding on. Content delivery. You guys, you all know what CDN is. Cache for static content, images, scripts, style sheets, and similar. There can be geographic advantages with a CDN, but nowadays, with the introduction of HTTP2 in particular, it's not that important really to use a CDN for your images. Earlier on, it was very important, and everyone kept pushing it. Actually, the largest hosting provider in Sweden today still has CDN activated when you install WordPress using their one-click installer. But it's pretty much redundant. Of course, depending on the geographic advantage and some other features that may be included with the CDN, depending on the provider. And if you do want to use a CDN, I can recommend using Cloudflare. Cloudflare is the world's largest CDN and security provider, cloudflare.com. They offer several levels of plans for free and paying customers. Included with their free service is a CDN service. So it's a cache for your images and scripts and similar. With the Cloudflare Pro version, they have a polish function that actually optimizes your images on the fly, so you don't have to do all this optimization using server-based tools and plugins and stuff. They optimize your images instead for you, and also they can also convert the images to WebP, a newer image format, not supported by all browsers yet, but it's a really good feature. But the very best feature is to use the business version, where you have image resizing built in, but depending on the visitors. This is really heavy stuff. But images are resized on the fly and displayed to the customers or the visitors of your website, depending on the size of their phones or iPads and regular stuff. Free, this costs like 20, 30 dollars or euros, and this is like, I think we have like 2500 SEK. It's a lot more. But at least the free version is really good, and I can recommend it. What more can you optimize really easy using the server? Well, you have text files, as mentioned by Otto. With a gzip compression, you can optimize all. It's basically like zipping all the content on your website. This is server-side functionality. Check with your hosting provider. Most of them support them. You can use services to check gzip compression on your website, if it is active or not. PDF files can also be compressed using, again, Linux open source tools, but the GoScript library has a function called PS2 PDF. If you have large PDF libraries and stuff, you can really compress them down. And of course, the database. This is again a WP CLI command. I love WP CLI. WPDB optimize to just optimize your complete database. Yes. I think that's all that I had. A very, very rapid presentation. Do you have any questions? No. I am available later. I am available at Jonathan Sulo for Twitter and WordPress.org and pretty much everything. So, yeah, thank you very much.